Today's shir will be about Chamisha Asar B'Shvat. We'll start with a Maimer of the Rebbe. The Maimer starts Arba Rosh Hashonim Heim. It's in Meluket Hay. The Rebbe said the Maimer Tovshin Lamed Aleph. It's on page Kuf Samach Tes. The Mishnah tells us in the beginning of Rosh Hashanah, Arba Rosh Hashonim Heim. There's 4 Rosh Hashanahs, Aleph Nisan, Aleph Elul, Aleph Tishrei. And then there's Rosh Hashanah Leilon. This is a Machlekes Beishamai and Beisilul. Beishamai says it's Aleph Shvat, and Beisilul says Chamisha Asar B'Shvat. And the halach is like Beisilul. So the Rebbe asks, according to Beishamai, comes out that all the 4 Rosh Hashanim are all on Rish Chodesh. But according to Beisilul, will come out that 3 of them are on Rish Chodesh. And Dafke, Rosh Hashanah Leilun is different that it's on Chamisha Asar Tezvav. So we have to understand why is Chamisha Asar B'Shvat different that it falls out to be on Tezvav over all the other Rosh Hashanah. Now to explain the Chassidus, the Take, why is Rosh Hashanah fall out to be on Rish Chodesh? Because Rish Chodesh is when the moon is born. And since Rosh Hashanah, Rosh is always the beginning, it's always the beginning of something. In the beginning, it's when something is just like the moon is born, it's just the beginning. So Rosh Hashanah is also in the beginning. So that strengthens the question, why Taka is Rosh Hashanah of Ilon is Chamisha Asar B'Shvat? So the Rebbe goes into the concept, he goes into that we know all the Yom Tovim are connected with when the different foods are ready. Pesach is connected to barley when the barley is ripe, and Shavuos is when the wheat gets ripe, and Sukkot is when we actually bring the Tvua into the house. Chag HaAsaf, we actually bring it into the house. So it's explained that why Taka to the Yom Tovim represent the joy that we're having from bringing in the Tvua. It's not just that it's the joy from the physical Tvua, but it's actually also the avodah ruchnis of a yid, and the opposite, the gashmis, is nishtalshu from the ruchnis. And every Yom Tov represents a different completion in our avodah ruchnis that we're celebrating the Yom Tov. So the Rebbe is supposed to explain that this is the difference between all the other Yom Tovim and Chamisha Asar, because grain, chitim, represents the avodah of a yid, and oh wow.
Thank you. Did we start recording?
So chitim represents the avodah of a yid, mainly in mitzvahs. All the Yom Tovim represent the avodah of a yid in mitzvahs. Masha'ein Kain, Chamisha Asar B'Shvat represents the avodah of a yid in limud HaTorah. And that's the difference. And then the Rebbe goes paradichas into the difference between the avodah of mitzvahs and the avodah of Torah. And the Rebbe begins to explain that even in Torah itself, there's also 2 details of Torah. There is a part of Torah which is Torah for itself, and there's a part of Torah as a mitzvah, as one of the mitzvahs of the Torah. And this is the way the Rebbe explains in general, like, there's 2 avodas of a yid. There's the avodah, 2 ways of a yid serving Hashem, the Rebbe says. There's the avodah of mitzvahs and the avodah of Torah. What's the concept of mitzvahs? Mitzvahs means Hashem is looking at us as something outside, and He's giving us a commandment. That's what mitzvahs is all about. We are something else from the Eibishter, and the Eibishter is giving us a mitzvah, giving us a commandment. Torah, in Torah, the Yid and the Eibishter is one thing. In the world of Torah, There's no other thing that's giving themselves over to the Eibishter. In Chassidus, it's explained that there's two avodas. There's avodah of ben and avodah of eved. And it says, what's the difference between a ben and an eved? A child or a servant? A servant has other desires. I mean, he's something else from his master. And he has to do a special avodah, eved. Avodah, he has to do special work to give himself over to do what his master wants. It's like the avodah of hiskafia. Then there is the concept of a ben. It says a ben, a son, naturally wants to do what his father wants. So if his father wants him to take out the garbage, it's not like, oh, you're a pain in the neck. Oh, you want me to take out the garbage? That's my gishmak. That's his gishmak. But his father's gishmak is his gishmak. And naturally, it says, a child also naturally, talking in a healthy situation, naturally thinks the way the father thinks. So what the father thinks is good, the child thinks is good. And he's happy to do what the father wants. So it says, so too, there are certain neshamas that are called banim there in a revealed way, but all the Yiddish neshamas are really called banim lamakim, that every Yid, be'etzem, every Yid wants to do what the Eibishter wants. That's our geshmak. That's our rotzim. So, and that's our seichel. That's the way we think. We think the way the Torah thinks. We think the way the Torah teaches us. Nigla and Chassidus, that's the way we think. So when it comes to Torah, you don't have to come to Yid and say, I'm commanding you to learn Torah. You're commanding me to learn Torah? The father has to tell his son, I'm commanding you. You're commanding me. This is what I want to do. What are you commanding me for? I'm an outsider. You have to command me. The father just has to tell his son, you know there's the garbage over here. And that's it. The son just has to know, and he's by himself wants to do it. So by a Yid, Monsich be'etzem both in Yonim. There's a mile in Eved, there's a mile in Ben. And so Monsich David of Eved, the mile of Ben. So even in Limud HaTorah, he's supposed to learn 101 times to have the mile of Eved. He's supposed to learn with Kabbalah Sil. But the Ikerin of Limud HaTorah is Ben. The Ikerin, when a Yid learns Torah, is that a Yid, his seichel becomes one with the Eibishter. Until it says that the grace of Talmidei Chacham, grace of people in the high darge, Ma Malki Rabbanon, that the Malachim, they themselves become a chelik of the Eibishter. That the Torah that they're learning is the Eibishter is learning through them. They're one thing with the Eibishter. It's his achdus. When it comes to mitzvahs, and mitzvahs, the main avodah is Kabbalah Sil. We're avodim from the Eibishter, and the Eibishter is the Melech, and we're being mekabel il malchus shamayim to do what the Eibishter wants. So these are the two ways to serve Hashem. And mitzvahs is still something else that's giving ourselves over to the Eibishter. In Torah, it's felt that we are one thing with the Eibishter. So even when a Yid is learning Torah because of the mitzvah, a Yid is learning Torah because of the mitzvah of learning Torah, that's still not the Torah the way it is on the highest level. The highest level of Torah is the tainug of the Eibishter. Is Hashem's pleasure. A Yid is one with Hashem, therefore a Yid feels automatically what's Hashem's pleasure is my pleasure. That's the Ein of Limud HaTorah. You don't have to tell the Yid to learn Torah. What do you mean? Hashem, that's his geshmak, so that's my geshmak. So the Rebbe says, even though a Yid thinks that the geshmak that he has in Torah comes from the seichel of Torah, that's only the way it looks like. The way it looks, it's kuksuches. But be'emes, the Yid geshmak is not from the seichel of Torah. The Yid geshmak is because this is the Eibishter's Torah, and this is Torah. The Eibishter's geshmak is in Torah, that's my geshmak. So there's two ways a Yid could learn Torah, the Rebbe says. A Yid could learn Torah because it's a mitzvah to learn Torah. That's more Kabbalah Sil. I'm still an outsider from the Eibishter, and I'm giving myself over to the Eibishter. Or Yid could learn Torah, what do you mean? I'm a ben of the Eibishter. This is the Eibishter's geshmak, this is my geshmak. That's the avodah of ben. And that's the Torah, the way Torah is mitzad atzmai. Torah, the way it is higher than mitzvahs. Where the Rebbe has a whole sikh about mitzvahs betelis osalov. It says that the mitzvahs will be bottled when Mashiach comes. What does it mean the mitzvahs will be bottled when Mashiach comes? We know that we're going to keep the mitzvahs when Mashiach comes. So the Rebbe explains, mitzvahs betelis osalov means the concept of tzivui will be bottled osalov. Lo osalov will only remain the concept of Torah, not the concept of mitzvahs. There'll be only the avodah of banim, because there'll be no need for a tzivui anymore. It will be nizgala that every Yid is one with the Eibishter. So when Mashiach comes, on the level of Tchias HaMesim, the ultimate level, when it will be revealed that we're one with the Eibishter, there's no more the avodah of mitzvahs. Then it will be only Torah. It will be only banim.
They have to do with that. I think that's another deal. That mitzvahs in for berurim, right? And not no mitzvah solo tzar when sabrias. Also, it's not going to be berurim. Not going to be. Don't need the tzar.
So that the Alter Rebbe says. That the Alter Rebbe says will be yichudim. It might be connected. It won't be any more birurim. It will be yichudim. It might be connected. I don't know. But that Alter Rebbe wants to say is why that Alter Rebbe says in the Gay makes a Mashiach. Have to think about it. The Birurim Yechudim.
So,
Al Koponim, the Rebbe says that the Iker Hadgosh in Limud HaTorah is the Geshmak. In Kiyum HaMitzvahs is Kabbalah Sil. Now this that a Yid does mitzvahs, and even Kabbalah Sil, is because the Torah says, it all comes from Torah. HaTorah Omra V'avadat Emes Hashem Alikecha. That means our Kabbalah Sil and mitzvahs comes from Torah. Being that it comes from Torah, since Torah is the oneness with Hashem, and a Geshmak that a Yid, this is my Geshmak, so we're also supposed to bring in from Torah into the mitzvahs the Geshmak in the Kabbalah Sil. That's why Yid has the koyach to have Kabbalah Sil with a Geshmak. It's not two separate things. But a Geshmak in Kabbalah Sil, that's the way it's supposed to be. Where is that coming from? If it's Kabbalah Sil, how do you have the Geshmak? The answer is, the Geshmak in Kabbalah Sil is because the mitzvahs come from Torah. So since in Torah there's the Geshmak, in mitzvahs is also the Geshmak.
but Torah is not Kabbalah Sil. Lara, Torah is Geschmack Take.
But in Limud HaTorah, they're also supposed to be the in of mitzvahs. There's a mitzvah to learn Torah. There's also the in of Kabbalah Sil in Torah.
We feel more the Geschmack in Torah.
And in mitzvahs is also the Geshmak in the Kabbalah Sil. The Rebbe explains a myriad word. What the Rebbe says is a myriad of words. The Rebbe says, what does this mean? That means, what does this mean? How do you have what's meant in Avodas Hashem? The Rebbe says, when the Eibusher made a mitzvah, it means the Eibusher says we are something separate from him. We're a Am, and Ein Melech B'lo Am, and the Eibusher is commanding us to do the mitzvah. And dafke when we are something separate from the Eibusher, there'll be the Maila, the grace of Maila, of Dira B'Tachtenim. Otherwise, if we're not a Tachtein, you're not going to have Dira B'Tachtenim. So only because we're something separate from Hashem. So we're the Tachtein, we're something separate, and then we give ourselves over, we do the mitzvah, then we're bringing Hashem down in the Tachtein. So why am I supposed to be something separate from Hashem? Have my own desire, something separate from Hashem, is all in order to be able to fulfill Hashem's desire of Dira B'Tachtenim. If I won't have another desire, if I'll be just a malach, there won't be a Dira B'Tachtenim. I have to have other desires. I have to be something for myself. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a Dira B'Tachtenim. That means a Yid feels that even this, that I'm something separate, is also part of fulfilling Hashem's Ratzon. Why am I separate? Not only this, that I put myself aside and I do what Hashem wants, is my connection to Hashem. But even this, that I want something else, is also my connection to the Eibusher. It's part of fulfilling the Dira B'Tachtenim. So what happens, the Rebbe says, is the Yid's connection to the Eibusher is in every part of him. Say in this that I'm bottled to Hashem, and say this that I'm a Metzias, separate, is also my connection to the Eibusher. Is all to fulfill what the Eibusher wants. If so, my Metzias is not really something separate from Hashem. Even this that I feel myself as something separate and have my own desires, it's all for the Eibusher. Therefore, a Yid could have in even the way he's in the mitzvah. A mitzvah means the way I'm something separate from the Eibusher. Even there, I could have a Geshmak that means I'm one with the Eibusher. What does it mean? It's a Geshmak. Geshmak means I'm one with Hashem. So how could a Yid have in the mitzvah a Geshmak? So the Rebbe says because the mitzvahs come from Torah. What does it mean the mitzvahs come from Torah? That a Yid feels that every part of the mitzvah is one with Hashem. Even this that I'm something separate is also I'm one with the Eibusher to fulfill what Hashem wants. And therefore I can have a Geshmak in being a Metzias also. I have a Geshmak in every part of me. Every part of me is one with the Eibusher. My Metzias, my bittul. Every part is really one to fulfill the Eibusher's Ratzon, and therefore I'm really not separate from the Eibusher. It's a very big word, how every part of me is connected to the Eibusher. And therefore even as a Metzias I can have a Geshmak. This is the Rebbe's Masbir, how and the Rebbe says, with this we'll answer the question. We started off with a question. Every Rosh Hashanah ends up being Rosh Chodesh. Rosh Hashanah, Aleph Tishrei. The other Rosh Hashanahs is Aleph Elul, Aleph Nisan, and the fourth Rosh Hashanah, Bishamai says is Aleph Shvat, and Beis Hillel says it's Chamish Asa B'Shvat. So the question is, if every Rosh Hashanah, and because it's the beginning, it's supposed to be Rosh Chodesh, Aleph, why is Rosh Hashanah of Chamish Asa B'Shvat? Why is that in the middle? So that explains all the other Rosh Hashanahs show on the avodah of a Yid in mainly in mitzvahs. And there, the stress is Kabbalah Sil, how a Yid is giving himself over to the Eibishter. It means a Yid is making himself, putting himself aside. And he's very small now. He's doing what the Eibishter wants. Kivyochel, he's out of the picture. Now only the Eibishter is in the picture. Comes Chamisha Osav B'Shvat. Chamisha Osav B'Shvat is not an Aved of Kabbalah Sil. Chamisha Osav B'Shvat is Yeshana Ilonis. Ilonis shows unlimited HaTorah with a Geshmak. What is the Elon all about? Well, Elon is tainuk. The fruits, you don't eat the fruits to be satisfied. If you want to be satisfied, you eat bread, grain, even vegetables. The fruits are more for a Geshmak. That's what the fruits are for. They're Geshmak. And they are Geshmak. It says even when you see fruits, it gives a Geshmak. You walk in a gan, the fruits is a Geshmak. So Chamisha Osav B'Shvat is an Aveda of Limud HaTorah. Limud HaTorah with a Geshmak. So it's Reish Hashanah, when we speak in our Avedas Hashem, Reish Hashanah is the Reish Hashanah for Kabbalah Sil, Aleph Tishrei is Kabbalah Sil. All the other Reish Hashanahs are different Avedas, which are Reish Chodesh. Reish Hashanah Li'Ilonis means the Reish Hashanah for a Geshmak. What does it mean a Geshmak? That the Yid's whole Metzias is one with Hashem. I don't have to put myself aside. Why am I putting myself aside? The opposite. I am one with Hashem. If I put myself aside, what do you mean? Hashem is missing over here. The Yid is one with the Eibush. The son, you tell the son, you know what? Put your seichel aside. Put your rotzen aside. If he puts his rotzen aside, he's not going to want to do what his father wants. What do you mean? My rotzen is to do what my father wants. Why should I put it aside? Fakert, we tell the son, bring out your rotzen. Bring out your seichel. And then you'll be able to accomplish what your father wants. That's what Chamisha Osav B'Shvat is. The Levon has to be complete. The whole thing of Chamisha Osav B'Shvat is we should have a Geshmak, our Rotzein, our Geshmak, our Seichel should all be in Torah. That's what Chamisha Osav B'Shvat is. And not only in Torah, we should bring that Shleimus of the Levona, we should bring it into Kabbalah Sil and into mitzvahs. We're not taking away from Kabbalah Sil. There's another Aveda, which is called Kabbalah Sil, which that's on Reish Hashanah, Aleph Tishrei is Kabbalah Sil, which then Take, and that comes into learning Torah, that sometimes we have to learn 101. And we have to remember that we have Kabbalah Sil. Like the Rebbe says, that has to be the Avodah of Kabbalah Sil. But what is Chamisha Osav B'Shvat? What is that Reish Hashanah for? That's Reish Hashanah for Ilonis, for Geshmak. And that's Megala, that even in our Kabbalah Sil, we're not separate from the Eibush. Even our Kabbalah Sil is really one thing with Hashem. A Yid is one with the Eibush. A Yid is always one with the Eibush. The Rebbe says that will bring us to the Gili of La'aseh Lavei. When La'aseh Lavei will be in this Gala that every Yid is B'nei Melachim, every Yid is a Melech. What if will be in this Gala that we're the Melech? That we're one thing with the Eibishter. It's very interesting. In Mashiach, there's two terminologies. Ve'avdi David, Melech Aleya. Mashiach will be a Melech. That means his full glory, his full strength. And he's a Eved. To the Eibishter. And a Melech over the Yid. By every Yid is the two Avedas. We're our Melech. We have that Breitkeit. That's the Yin of Limud HaTorah. And we're supposed to bring that Breitkeit into mitzvahs. It happens a lot of times that Yid thinks he has to put himself aside. He puts himself aside. He's missing his Geshmak. He's missing his Rotzen. Who's going to serve Hashem now? What are you putting yourself aside? Fakir, you bring yourself... You're one thing with Hashem. Utilize everything you have for the Eibishter. And revealing it how it's one with the Eibishter. That is the Avodah of Limud HaTorah. And this we get when we learn Torah. And this we take, the Rebbe says, from Chamisha Osav B'Shvat. And the Rebbe says, through our Avodah and Chamisha Osav B'Shvat, through we're being Meisif in Masein of Avodah, especially in learning Torah with a Geshmak and a Chayis. And the Rebbe says, especially Pnimis HaTorah. Because the Rebbe says, Pnimis HaTorah is the Geshmak of Torah. It's the Tainug of Torah. So especially in Pnimis HaTorah, there's especially supposed to be the Geshmak.
Pnimis HaTorah is dafke less davone from Nigla Torah.
The Rebbe says, it's the Tainug of... It's the Tainug of Torah. It's called Taimei Torah. It's called Taimei Torah. What's Pnimis HaTorah? Taimei Torah. When you learn Nigla, you don't understand the reasons. You don't understand the Geshmak in the Inyan. You take him with Kabbalah Sil. A lot of Yonim in Nigla is Kabbalah Sil. Chukah chakakti, Zera Gazarti.